StrayAllDay.com.
Put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative, which is the go-getter energy that moves all of us to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together into a series of frameworks, approaches, insights, strategies, and techniques, all underneath the umbrella of one unifying philosophy that is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is how to get into the back door. How to get in through the back door. If you can't get in the normal way, what's another way you can make something happen? Before we get into that, let me tell everybody, I send out a daily motivation text message. That's what I call it, every single day, free of charge to everybody who's in my text community. This is a message that's guaranteed to have you focused, sharp, and on point to start your day. If you want to receive this message, and I know you want to receive it, so if you are not already receiving this message, is a better way of saying it. Just text me right now at this number, 305-384-6894. And every morning when the daily motivation message goes out, because you are a member of my text community, you will be receiving this message. Again, you'll be focused, sharp, and on point to start your day. Secondly, Work on Your Game University is the place where you can work with me directly, where you will be coached by me directly, where you get access to the frameworks that you may hear me talk about, you may have heard me talk about before, like Bulletproof Mindset, the Business Builder Framework, the Work on Your Game system, the Next Mission process, the courses like 30 Days to Discipline, ASAP Confidence, Sell Yourself, Toughen Up, Content Machine, and more. People Skills, another one. All of those are inside of Work on Your Game University. The only way to get access to the university is to go to workonyourgameuniversity.com, which is linked down below in the description of this episode that you are listening to right now. You are ready to work with me directly. You are ready to take your game, your business, your life where it needs to be, and you understand that doing everything on your own, just trying to figure it out by yourself, is the slowest and the least efficient way to get things done. Why not just use the brains of other human beings on the planet? There's a reason why there are 8 billion of us. Why do it by yourself when you could just borrow somebody else's brains and get it done a lot faster and a lot more efficiently and a lot better? I mean, why not? So with all that said, go to workonyourgameuniversity.com and let's get to it. Now, with that out of the way, let's get into today's topic, which is how to get in the back door. And this is a metaphor because we understand, any of you you have enough experience in life, and you don't have to have much. You could be 18 years of age. You probably have enough experience in life to understand that front doors are often closed. The front door just means what would be like the simplest, easiest way to get to insert yourself into a certain situation. For example, you're trying to get into a certain business. You're trying to get a certain job. You're trying to get booked to do some type of gig in your business or your industry, whatever you happen to be doing. You want to get in the room with a certain type of person, or you want to get into a certain group that may be exclusive, and they don't let just anybody walk in to be part of that group. You want to be a part of it, but you know the simple way, or the easiest, most quote unquote common sense way to get in may not be available to everyone, and you're part of that everyone who is not available to. When that front door is not open, is there another way to make it happen? The answer is, of course, there's always another way to make it happen. There's always another option. Challenge for a lot of us as humans is that, number one, when the front door option is not available to us, we often quit and don't even think about or even try to find an alternative route to making things happen. That's one thing. Another thing is those are two things. Is one, that we quit, and that we can't get in the front door. We say, all right, well, I tried, it didn't work, and then we just don't do anything else. And then we don't even think, you know what, is there another way to make this happen? And then there's a third thing is, even if we do think about if there's another way to make it happen, we don't know how to actually access that other way. If there is another way, we have no idea. We often don't have the ingenuity or the creativity to even think about, hey, is there another way to do this? And if so, how would I do it? We often don't even ask ourselves that question, which is why we often, if we can't get in the front door, we can't get in the quote unquote normal way, the basic way, then we never get to the plan B, plan C, plan D, and plan E ways of doing things. Now, there are times in life when you should just have a plan A and you don't need to give yourself other plans, but there are other times, especially when you're doing something that is not your creation and you aren't completely in control of it, like you're trying to get into a space that is not under your control and not under your jurisdiction, you should have more than one way of getting in, because what if your first way doesn't work? Right? I mean, the goal is not just doing it your way. The goal is doing it, period. So if your first idea doesn't work, then hey, come up with another idea. That doesn't work, come up with another one, another one, until you figure it out. Similar to how a baby learns to stand up, then a baby learns to walk. Or the baby's first try doesn't work, doesn't mean that they quit and never try again, right? They keep trying until they figure it out. It's the same thing that we can do. So how else could you get into a space that isn't quite letting you in the quote unquote basic or normal way? That's the question that we're going to address here today. So any of you, especially those of you who are salespeople, those of you who are in the marketing space, those of you who are currently promoting yourself in any way, shape, or form, which is pretty much all of us. I think between those three things, I think all of us have been touched here. How can you use, or how can you find other ways in, quote unquote, if you can't get in, again, the basic way, maybe the first idea that you have, how can you get in a different way? That's the question we address here today. Let's get to it. Point number one. Topic, once again, is how to get in the back door. First thing you can do is triangulate. What does triangulate mean? Triangulate means to bring in a third party, into a situation. That's what triangulate means. Triangulate is, the root word is the word triangle. We all know what a triangle is, right? It's a shape that has three angles, 1, 2, 3. So to triangulate is, instead of it being a me and, let's say I'm trying to get a phone conversation with Oprah Winfrey. All right, so that's just me and Oprah. That's person one, person two is me and Oprah. I'm not able to do it. I'm sending tweets to Oprah. I'm sending DMs to her on Instagram. It is not happening. All right, I'm sending letters to Oprah's company. I find her address on the back of Oprah's magazine. I sent the letter there. Nobody wrote me back. So me trying to go directly to Oprah ain't working. How can I triangulate? To triangulate is, I may try to find someone else who has a connection to Oprah. I try to go through them. Since I have a relationship with that person, they have a relationship with Oprah. Now, between the three of us, I may be able to reach Oprah in ways that I otherwise couldn't have if I just tried to do it by myself, off my own energy and off my own skill and off my own access. Everybody following what I'm saying here? So that's what triangulate means. It means just to bring a third party entity into a situation who could possibly get something done that you couldn't get done by yourself. Now, to triangulate can be used in many different ways. It can be used for manipulative, nefarious purposes, but also can be used for positive purposes. In this instance, for example, in a positive sense. So in the negative sense, let me give you an example of that. Somebody could hack into let's say somebody's trying to get control of any of you runs ads on the internet. Somebody could hack into your account and use your ad account to run ads to promote their products. All right, so they're triangulating. They're using your ad account to market their stuff and make money that is based on your investment that you don't even know that you're making. So that's a way that they could do it in a negative way. Or somebody could hack into your whatever account you have where you have a bunch of followers, and they can post stuff that is promoting their garbage product or their website or whatever, and they get traffic or eyeballs to see that post that clearly wasn't made by you, what most people see as spam or you were hacked, and they get some attention off of that, but they're using your audience, so they're triangulating. They're using you in order to do something for themselves. That's a negative way of triangulating, but let's talk about the positive way of doing it. So triangulation in this sense means when you're trying to make something happen one way, the direct way, like I said, if I'm trying to reach Oprah and I can't do it, see if you can use a third party, an entity, to get the same thing done. And that entity can be an organization, it can be an individual person, it can be a group, it can be anything that works in order to get you in the door that you otherwise you couldn't get in the door direct way. So you're doing this indirectly. So I'll give you another example. Let's say I was trying to play basketball for New York Knicks. Now I could just Google the New York Knicks. I could find the New York Knicks main 1-800 phone number and just sell myself as a player. I could just say, hey, I'm Dre Baldwin. I want to play for the New York Knicks. I called a 1-800 number. Now, who am I usually going to get on the phone? Probably not the person who has the power to sign me to a contract anyway. And let's say if I ask, who's the person who can sign me to a contract, they would pass me to this person, this person, this person. And at some point, I'm probably going to get stonewalled and turned away, and it's pretty much going to be over. That probably wouldn't work. All right, most of you can just imagine that. That's probably not going to work out. Now, the indirect way, if I wanted to triangulate, and this is just one way I could do this, is remember when you're trying to get in the back door, you can go through as many possibilities as you need to before you figure it out. Another way is I could reach out to a basketball agent. I can get that agent to represent me. So they basically sign me to represent me as an agent, and then I let the agent go to the New York Knicks, and because they have a connection to the Knicks, they know the person on the inside who's the right person, and they have that phone number that's not listed on the New York Knicks main website. It's not a 1-800 phone number. They can call that person and they can pitch me. Now, is that absolutely going to work? Not guaranteed, but I probably got a better chance of it happening going through that agent triangulating than I do trying to do it myself, calling the main 1-800 number where I'm probably going to get the ticket salespeople organization, the ticket salespeople department on the phone. Again, it's not guaranteed to work, but it has a higher chance of working than me doing it myself. So if you want to do business with a well-known and in-demand individual, you could try to reach them directly, which may or may not work. Again, that's the Oprah example. But if you befriend let's say you befriend their personal assistant, you probably have a better chance of making it happen, since their assistant may control their calendar, their assistant knows their schedule, and the assistant is in less demand than the main person. So this is, again, another reason why you absolutely should, not you may want to, but you should always look for ways to triangulate and see, again, what's a backdoor way that I can get into a situation. When I was looking to play, I use the New York Knicks as an example here, but when I was looking to play professional basketball and I was looking to play internationally overseas in Europe, first thing I understood was that I didn't know anybody overseas. I had never even been overseas. So I knew me trying to reach a team overseas and just sell myself was probably not going to be it's not that it couldn't work, but it probably wouldn't be the most efficient way to do it. So what I did was go to an exposure camp. I got some third-party validation that I could play at the pro level, which was in the form of a scouting report. It was basically a write-up of somebody, basically a testimonial or a case study of somebody talking good about me. And I have footage, which was proof of me actually being as good as the scouting report said. And then I went and used that. And instead of reaching out to teams with that stuff, what I did is reach out to agents with that stuff. I found an agent. That agent said, okay, you're good enough to play pro. I'll represent you. That agent had the connections and the relationships that I did not have. And that agent was the one who helped me get in the game. So I actually did this in my own life, triangulated. I used the agent to get me overseas instead of just trying to go overseas directly by myself. Again, not to say that you couldn't do it directly, but it probably would have been a lot harder and a lot less efficient had I tried to do it the other way. I probably did try to do it the other way and realized that it wasn't going to work, so I did something different. So moving on, point number 2. Today's topic, once again, is how to get in the back door. Think like a chess player. What does a chess player do? Any of you who knows how to play the game of chess, you understand that in chess, you often want to be thinking several moves ahead in the game of chess, not just doing things one move at a time. You do things one move at a time in chess, you're only allowed to move one move at a time, but if you're only thinking one move at a time in chess, depending on who you're playing against, you may end up getting beat, because a good chess player, someone who has some experience playing chess, knows how to think several moves ahead. So they may make a move now that it seems innocuous, doesn't do anything, but over time what they're doing is building up maybe a 5-move sequence that is setting you up for the trap that you don't even see coming, because they're thinking 5 moves ahead, you're only thinking 1 move ahead. So whoever's thinking further ahead into the future usually ends up winning in any type of competition in life. So in the game of chess, this is a good way of explaining and helping you understand this. I have a video on YouTube where I analogized chess to life. Any of you haven't seen that video, just look up Dre Baldwin chess, and that's the game is CHESS, for those of you who never heard of it. All right, look up Dre Baldwin chess on YouTube, and you can see that video where I analogize chess to life. And a lot of people liked that video, the way I explained it and analogized it, because a lot of people don't know how to play the game of chess. But I don't really play any kind of games. The only games I play are, I guess, sports. I haven't played chess in a while, but if I was to play a game, chess is the game that I would play. Not a video game, not what's another game that I could possibly play? Yeah, besides sports, chess is the only game that I would actually sit down and play. It's chess. So what chess people do is think several moves ahead, chess players rather. And as opposed to checkers, Where in checkers, you're usually thinking maybe one move ahead, because checkers is a much less complex game than chess, simply because in checkers, every piece has the exact same function, for the most part. Whereas in checkers, every piece has the exact same function. Whereas in chess, each piece has a different function, and they can do different things. They move different ways. The game of chess is a little bit more complicated to understand than the game of checkers. I can explain the game of checkers to you in about 30 minutes. We play a couple times, you pretty much got the gist of it. In chess, you may have to go over the same things over and over again before you quite understand how the game works, which makes by definition chess more of a thinking man's game than checkers is. So if you ever hear somebody say, I'm playing chess, not checkers, what they are trying to say is, I'm the higher level thinking individual in this situation than maybe what somebody else may be. Even though some people who say that phrase don't even know how to play chess. So that's a different conversation for a different day. So for example, let's say I had a garden out in front of my house, and there's snakes in the garden. I want to get rid of the snakes because I don't like snakes, and they bite my dog, and I just have a phobia of snakes, and I just hate snakes. I just want to get rid of all the snakes in my garden. How can I get rid of these snakes? Here's the question that I will ask myself. How do I get rid of these snakes? Well, I could just walk around the garden with I don't know what you use to kill a snake, but whatever the snake killing mechanism, whatever the tool is to kill snakes. I could walk around, just try to find the snakes, identify them, and just stab them and kill them as soon as I find them. I could try to do it that way directly. I might end up getting bit by a snake myself in the process, because snakes are pretty good at hiding in the grass. That's the reason how they survive. They know how to hide and disguise themselves. So I could do that. Or here's another way I could do it. Here's an indirect way I can do it. I can set out a whole bunch of cheese in my garden. I can set cheese out maybe somewhere where it's easy to see what's going on. I could let's say I got a slab of concrete next to the big plot of grass that I have in my garden. I put a whole bunch of cheese out right there where the concrete is. Now, why would I put cheese out if I'm trying to catch snakes? Because as far as I know, I'm no animal expert. I don't know what the word is for animal expert. There's a word for it, but I forget. Zoologist, I guess. I'm no zoologist. Whatever word there is for animal expert, I ain't that. All right, I don't even know the word, but I have on pretty good knowledge that snakes don't eat cheese. Or snakes are not attracted to cheese. So why would I put out cheese? The reason I put out cheese is because rats and mice are attracted to cheese, at least as far as I know. At least that's how they show it on the cartoons, right? Rats and mice like cheese. So I put the cheese out because the cheese is going to attract a whole bunch of rats and mice. And as far as I know, again, I'm no animal expert, but snakes like to catch and kill and eat mice and rats. So I'll put out cheese is going to attract rats. The rats will attract the snakes. And then when the snakes come to eat the rats, it'd be easy for me to see them because they're right there on the concrete, and then I can kill all the snakes. It'd be much easier for me to kill the snakes that way than me trying to find the snakes while they're in their habitat, hiding, doing what they do best. I want to bring them out of their hiding place. This is a way of thinking like a chess player rather than a checkers player. All right, so then I can kill the snakes easily because I know exactly where they are, and I know exactly where to look for them because they're going to be right there where the rats are. So it's the same thing with reaching your customers, for example. You could try to reach your customers directly and sell them something. So I could just hop on Facebook Live or Instagram Live or Twitter and just post links. Hey, here's my product, go buy it. Here's my book, go buy it. Here's my stuff. And as any of you knows the marketing world, people, there's an old saying in marketing. People say, especially as the internet came around, go buy my shit, buy my shit. And that's like people putting a link out and just saying, hey, buy my stuff. My stuff is out there. I'm not going to give you any reason to buy it. Just here's the link, go buy it, go buy my stuff. And this is what some amateur entrepreneurs do, and then they wonder why their stuff is not selling, because you're not giving people a compelling reason to do it, and you're not thinking like a chess player, you're thinking like a checkers player. Like, I'm gonna do one thing, you're gonna do one thing. I'm gonna put my link out, you're gonna buy it. Put the link out, you buy it. It usually doesn't work. What you want to do instead is you want to give people kind of a multi-step process to where you warm them up, give them some value, then at some point once they're properly warmed up, then you ask them to buy your stuff. So for example, this is why we do things like creating content. This is why somebody does a podcast. This is the reason why you put out stuff for free. This is the reason why you have a YouTube channel or a TikTok, or you post status updates on LinkedIn, or whatever it is that you do. You can put things out that people want or that is valuable to people for free, attract them with the free stuff, then you indoctrinate them. That's basically warming them up with more free stuff, more valuable material. Then you can slowly move them into the position where they're ready to actually exchange their money for whatever it is that you have to offer, because you already got their attention and you've earned the right to make them an offer. They'll be more willing to buy from you. Not to say, again, it's not to say that you cannot sell someone something directly just in one step, but it's harder to do because you don't have that person warmed up. So you can kind of use a mix of both of these, but the one step is more like a checkers move, which sometimes can work, but the chess move usually works better. And if you follow anybody who teaches marketing online, usually you'll notice that they're all talking about more than one step in the process, especially if you're selling something that is more high ticket. If you're selling something that costs $10, then maybe somebody will just buy it on a whim. But if you're asking somebody to spend $10,000, they probably need to warm up to you on some level before they're ready to make that type of investment. Moving on to point number 3. Topic once again today is how to get into the back door. If you can't get in the easy way, what are some other ways that you can get in that may take a few extra steps but still are effective because they work? Number 3, connect with somebody who's already on the inside. I mean, this is simple enough, right? This is the who over what principle that we talk about a lot of times, especially in Work on Your Game University. We talk about this a lot, especially with entrepreneurs, because entrepreneurs, we're all trying to get some new thing out there. We've created some new way or new idea or new something that we want to get out into the world. And the hardest way to do that is to just go pound our head against the wall and try to get people to see the thing that we already have. The easier way to do it is to find someone who has already been accepted, or something that's already been accepted. How can we integrate our thing with that thing? And it's much easier to get acceptance and get recognition because we are integrating with something that is already understood. So the slowest and the least effective way to get things done is to do everything by yourself. Simply because none of us as humans is all powerful. None of us has the resources to do everything. Time, money, attention, energy, focus. None of us has an unlimited amount of any of those. You don't have the time or the energy or the talent to do everything on your own. So the smart thing to do is to use other people. Use them and allow them to use you. All right, this is the synergy. If I can use you in some ways, you could use me in some ways, then we have a beneficial relationship. We both benefit from the connection to each other. And remember that we're living in a collaboration era, so this is a smart thing to do. Usually the fastest way into the back door, everybody, and I mean this, let's just look at this literally. Let's say you're outside of a building and you're trying to get in the building, but doors are locked and you don't have a key and you can't just force your way in. You can't break down the door. What's the fastest way to get into that building? Fastest way would be for you to call or text somebody who is already inside the building and say, hey, Mike, hey, Lisa, I'm outside of the building. You're inside the building. Can you come to the back door and just open the door? And they say, oh, sure, I'll come open the door. And then they come to the back door and they open the door for you. Isn't that an easy way to get into the back door of anything? Yes, of course it is. Now, here's the challenge. You got to know somebody who's already on the inside. In order for this to work, you have to know someone who's on the inside, i.e., you have to have the relationships with the people who are already established so that you can leverage those relationships to get in a room that you otherwise would not be allowed into. You don't have to try to knock the door down by yourself. You don't have to go and try to pick the lock. You don't have to try to talk your way into the front door and talk your way past the bouncer or the security guards. Just ask somebody who's already in the building, hey, can you let me into the building? All right. So who is already in the room? This is a question you should ask yourself. Any room that you want to get into that you're not in right now, but you can see there are people in there, who's already in there? Who's in there that you know? Do you know anyone who's on the inside? If you know someone on the inside, it's very easy to get on the inside. Now, if you don't know anyone on the inside, then it's hard to get on the inside. I'll give you an example. A building, I told this story probably a year and maybe 2 years ago. There was a building that I was looking to possibly move into. We were looking to possibly move into, and we are calling the building. Nobody is answering the phone. This is a brand new building down here in Miami, and at the time, it's still pretty hot, but at the time, the real estate market down here was like going crazy to where I don't care if you were trying to buy, you were trying to rent, it was just damn near impossible to take your time and go see a place. Things were just going away that quick. They come on the market, gone. Come on the market, gone. People were just renting and buying places without even going and looking at them first. Now, I wanted to look at any place I was going to move into. So we're trying to call this place. Nobody's answering the phone. Now, the place wasn't that far from where we were living at the time, probably about 10 minutes away. I'm calling. Nobody's answering. Sending an email. They had a little website. Send us a text message. We'll text you and help you schedule a time. That shit wasn't working. I'm like, all right, well, forget all this. Let's just go up there. And so I told Anna, let's just go up there. So we just showed up to the place. And here's how we showed up. When we showed up, we get to the front desk. There's a guy at the front desk. His job is as the gatekeeper to keep people who don't belong inside on the outside. And here's the thing. Before we went, we look on the website and we noticed that there are some people who work in management at this building who we knew of because they had worked at a previous building that we had lived at before. So we knew some names. So basically, I could name drop somebody who I knew in the building. They didn't know that I was coming, and no, I didn't even know that they were going to be there, but I saw their name on there. So I said, all right, I'll just name drop this person. We get to the front desk, and I'm like, yeah, we came to see the building. And the guy at the front desk says, well, do you have an appointment? I said, yeah. No, I'm lying. But I said, yeah. He said, who you got an appointment with? And I name dropped one of the people who I saw on the website who worked there, because this person did work there. I name dropped this guy. I said, I got an appointment with person X. I name dropped this guy who worked there. And the guy couldn't deny me, the front desk guy, he couldn't deny me because I name dropped somebody who did actually work there. And he said, well, what time's your appointment? I said, well, it's right now. I said, the appointment's right now. He said, and he looked at his watch. He said, 12:15? I said, yes, right now. So any of you remember the Bud Light commercials from back in the day? This is before Bud Light stupidly decided to, was that Bud Light that did that? They did this, they put the trans person in the ads, but this is way before, 20 years ago, when there was a commercial back in the day when a person would come to they would get out of the airport, they would get out of the airplane, and they're in the airport, and they would see the chauffeur holding up a sign. And they say, hey, do you have Bud Light in your limousine? And the driver would say, I do. And the person would say, well, I am no Dr. Galakowitz. He said, you're Dr. Galakowitz? And he would say, yes, I am. And then he would end up in the next scene, you would see him in the limousine drinking a Bud Light. So anyway, that's what I did. I lied to the guy. I said I had an appointment. I lied and said I had an appointment with a certain person, but I dropped the right name because that was a person who was on the inside. And I lied about the time. So I told this guy 3 lies in about 10 seconds. And he had no choice. This guy's working the front desk. I know how these things. And he had no choice but to call the person because I name dropped that person. So he couldn't say that I'm name dropping somebody who doesn't exist. So he calls the person who works there, who does know me, and I do know them. But again, they had no idea I was coming there. This person comes down the elevator. They see me. They're, oh, Dre, what's up? Good to see you. And then they got us up. They showed us the building, and voila, we ended up moving into the building. All because, here's the whole point of the story. Not that you need to lie to everybody that you talk to, but if you got to lie, cheat, and steal to get something done, I don't have a problem with it. Now, these were white lies that I told, and it's not like I hurt anybody with this lie. This is a victimless crime. These lies that I told in order to get into the building. But the whole point is I knew somebody on the inside. You got to know someone on the inside sometimes just to get on the inside, because sometimes there's a fortress built around something in order to keep outsiders on the outside. People do this on purpose because they want to have an inner circle and they want to have an outer space. So if you want to get on that inner circle, sometimes you got to know the right person. This is the value, everybody, of relationships. Or this is the value of knowing people. This is the value of what I call being outside. And when I say being outside here, I mean in the opposite direction, meaning being outside means being active, being known, shaking hands, knowing people, saying hello to people, having friends, having relationships, having phone numbers you can call, numbers that you can text, emails that you can send, and knowing the right people. That when you show up somewhere, you may not know anybody, but somebody knows you. Or you show up somewhere and maybe somebody recognizes you because they just know you from somewhere, whatever it happens to be. Being outside, there's a big value to this because, again, you may come across a situation, maybe not you're trying to find a place to live, but you're trying to get into a circumstance or a situation and you can't get in just off of your own credentials, but you can get in based on somebody else's credentials. If they know you and you know that they're in there, you can use them in order to get yourself into the room. I did this also one time when I was trying to get a job playing overseas. I'll give you this one last story. I was in Germany at the time, and I was in limbo for a minute because I was in Germany and I was with the team, and the team told me that, look, we can't have you here anymore because they were having some financial issues. And this is something that happens overseas. Any of you played overseas basketball, you know that this happens. It's a rampant thing that happens overseas basketball. So the team told me they were having financial issues. We can't pay you anymore. I happen to know some people in Germany who I could stay with temporarily. So I left the team that I was with, went to the people I could stay with temporarily. While I'm with them, I start sending out emails to people in Germany I'm trying to make connections. So what I did, I had a college teammate, a guy named Wes Pfeiffer, who I had played with in college, and he had played in Germany before I had been to Germany. He had played in Germany before me. Now, I knew that he had played in Germany. Y'all might have heard Wes. You've been listening to the show long enough. He's one of the few people who's been interviewed on the show, actually more than once. And I started sending emails out to basketball agents in Germany. And I thought, this is just a random idea I had. I said, how about I want to name drop Wes in the emails that I'm sending out. And let's see if name dropping him might get me a response that I otherwise wouldn't got. So I started sending out emails to agents, and I mentioned in my emails that I had been teammates in college with Wes Pfeiffer. And this agent called me back because I had a German cell phone. And this agent called me back. And he, when he called me back, he said, I called you back because I recognized that name that you mentioned, Wes Pfeiffer. I remember seeing him play a few years ago. I knew he was a good player, and you mentioned you were a teammate of his, so I figured I'd give you a call, just give it a shot. And I ended up working with this agent. He ended up actually getting me a job. And the whole point is, again, at this time, Wes wasn't even in Germany at the time, but I just used his name, and because his name was recognized by somebody who was on the inside, that allowed me to extend my opportunity and create the next opportunity simply because I was able to drop a name. So these are all things, everybody, when you're outside, when you have the right relationships and the right connections, these are all things that can help you extend, create, or go deeper into an opportunity. But if you don't know anybody and nobody knows you, you can't do any of these things. So both of those stories that I told you is based on me knowing somebody and those people knowing me as well. So these are all people skills, communication skills, and a little bit of trickery, all right, that you may need to use every now and then. Again, these are some of these things that I know. I actually was teammates with Wes Pfeiffer in college, but as far as the thing about the moving into the building, I told that guy a bunch of lies just to make that work. But again, these are white lies. Nobody was injured by these lies, but I got what I need to get out of the situation. So don't take this to mean you should just go lie and tell any kind of lie and just keep doing it for any reason. You may end up, incarcerated or being sued for doing that. So do not take this as Dre told you to just go do that recklessly. So with all that said, ask yourself this question whenever you're trying to get into any room: who has the access that you could leverage? All that said, let's recap today's class, which is how to get in the back door. The front door is often closed. Doesn't mean you can't get in. How else would you do it? Here's the ways. Number one, triangulate. Bring a third party into the situation who may be able to get you in the room that you otherwise couldn't get in yourself. For example, the personal assistant of the influencer you're trying to reach is probably more reachable and easier to connect with than the actual influencer themselves. But now, can you build a relationship with the personal assistant? That's still a job in itself. Number two, think like a chess player. Think several moves ahead. You're trying to catch the snakes. Don't just go walking through the grass hoping to catch a snake. They're hard to catch. All right, that's the reason why they're snakes. Instead, put some cheese out, let the rats come, let the snakes come to catch the rats. Then you can kill the snakes easily because they're easy to find. Think several steps ahead and multi-step in your process, not just one step. One step is easiest and simplest, but is often not that easy to do one step, because if it was, everybody would just be doing that. Number three, connect with somebody who's already on the inside. If you're locked out of a building, the easiest way to get in is to know somebody who's already on the inside who can just open the door for you. And they can just come to the front door like, hey, I'm downstairs at the front door. Can you come open the door? Sure, I'll open the door. If they can open the door for you, then you're in. All right, but you got to know somebody who's on the inside. If you don't know anybody and nobody knows you, then you can't use this option. This is the power, everybody, of having relationships and connections. All that said, text me. Let me know you want to get the daily motivation for free every morning straight to your phone. My number is 305-384-6894. And Work on Your Game University. That is where you can learn things like the people skills that I just talked about, the communication skills that I've been discussing, the multi-step processes that I just discussed, the building relationships and connecting with the right people at the right times and knowing who to look for when you need to make a connection that you otherwise do not have. All of that you can learn inside of Work on Your Game University. You hear the way that I've explained this, right? Do you think I can teach this to somebody like you when you're trying to do something like this, especially in business when the people you need to reach are often public record? You just need to know which one and what to say and how to say it and what to do next. I can teach you how to do all this stuff. Like, this is what I do every single day. So workonyourgameuniversity.com. That's where you go for that and more. Work on your game. Dre all day.